I wonder if Caitlyn, in every post-game press conference and every interview that she did with reporters and anytime she did any media, if she came out and talked about the kind of hateful comments that she was getting. It's a lot. And so it's not just Caitlin Clark fans or Indiana Fever fans. It is not all going in one direction. The death threats that she was getting, the stalking allegations that she was getting, if she came out and told everybody the reason why she has personal security that goes with her every single place.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into a major shakeup that's brewing in the WNBA. It wasn't too long ago that the league was riding a massive wave of success, thanks to the meteoric rise of Caitlin Clark. Packed arenas, soaring TV ratings, and merch flying off the shelves, it looked like the WNBA had finally hit the jackpot.
She has lived up to expectations, right? I'm looking at her the way I look at LeBron James, right? For us, just in the women's side of things, and the hype that she had, the expectations she had.
Let's start with the rookie, Caitlin Clark Kent. Superwoman, you see what I did there? She was on a tear, and last night was no different. Wings, fever. Caitlin Clark set to go as she broke the single-season assist record.
She's been playing like a top 5 player in the league. She's been regularly dishing out double-digit assists in that time frame. Teams can no longer blitz her and trap her.
But now, well, we're staring down a $40 million loss for the league this season. Yeah, you heard that right, $40 million. So how did things fall apart so quickly? How did we go from packed arenas to talk of the league's potential collapse? Buckle up, because today we're going to break down the roller coaster that's taken the WNBA from its highest highs to a pretty scary low. If you're into sports drama, this is one you don't want to miss. Let's rewind a bit and talk about the moment that everyone was buzzing about, the arrival of Caitlin Clark. When she entered the league, it was like a shot of adrenaline straight to the heart of the WNBA. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about NBA stars like LeBron or Steph Curry. People were talking about women's basketball in a way they hadn't before. And it wasn't just talk. Caitlin Clark's presence did something remarkable. Arenas that had been half empty were now packed to the rafters. People were showing up, buying tickets, and the TV ratings, they weren't just improving, they were skyrocketing. Networks were scrambling to get WNBA games on their primetime slots, all because Clark had captivated audiences in a way that frankly hadn't happened before in the league's history.
200,000 more people came to watch the Indiana Fever than any other team in the league. The second best was 400,000. The Fever attendance is 200,000 more people this season than any other organization. The Liberty is next at 400,000. These are numbers when people talked about at the beginning of the season, the high tide lifts all boats or whatever, basically. Like, if you buy into this, everybody is going to eat.
But let's get specific here. You know the WNBA was always struggling a bit with ticket sales. Usually you could snag a seat for pretty cheap, maybe $20, sometimes less. But when Caitlin Clark played, we saw ticket prices triple overnight. I'm not kidding. Seats that used to go for $20 were suddenly selling for $60 to $70, even $100. And you know what's crazier? People were happy to pay it. They wanted to see her play. In fact, during regular season matchups where Caitlin Clark played against big names like Angel Reese, ticket prices reached $300 on average, and the most expensive courtside seats, those went for over $4,000. That's right, $4,000 to see a WNBA game. That's practically NBA level pricing. And it wasn't just the arenas. TV ratings were going through the roof too. We're talking millions of people tuning in, some who had never watched a women's basketball game before, just to catch a glimpse of Clark. It was wild. For the first time, it seemed like the WNBA had finally found its ticket to the mainstream. Clark was the spark the league had been waiting for. But here's where things take a turn. Despite all that success, despite the buzz, despite the record-breaking attendance and TV ratings, the WNBA is now on the verge of losing $40 million this season.
Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever had over 1.8 million viewers. This is now on an NFL Sunday. They had over 1.8 million viewers, and the rest of the games had around 400,000 viewers. These people are coming in waves to watch one player who has sold out every single arena that she has played in this season. I have not seen the viewership reports for the games last night yet, but I'm sure that it is probably double of what the Indiana Fever game got on Sunday.
How do you go from such a massive upswing to such a steep decline so quickly? Well, it turns out that while Caitlin Clark brought in a ton of new fans and revenue, there's more to the story than just the money she generated. See, the WNBA has been bleeding cash for years. In fact, the league has been operating at a loss since its inception in 1996. That's 27 straight years of losing money, and now, even with Clark's incredible star power, the league's financial issues have finally caught up with it. There's a group of NBA owners who, by the way, have been bankrolling the WNBA for years, who are starting to get fed up. They're looking at this $40 million loss and asking some tough questions like, how much longer can we keep this going? And here's where it gets really interesting. The NBA itself owns 75% of the WNBA. That's right, 75%. So when the WNBA loses money, the NBA loses money. And trust me, the NBA owners are not happy about this. James Dolan, yes.
I wonder if Caitlin, in every post-game press conference and every interview that she did with reporters and anytime she did any media, if she came out and talked about the kind of hateful comments that she was getting. It's a lot. And so it's not just Caitlin Clark fans or Indiana Fever fans. It is not all going in one direction. The death threats that she was getting, the stalking allegations that she was getting, if she came out and told everybody the reason why she has personal security that goes with her every single place.
That James Dolan, the guy who owns the New York Knicks and usually catches heat from fans, is leading the charge on this. He's been asking NBA Commissioner Adam Silver some very pointed questions about what the plan is moving forward. And what's even more wild, other NBA owners are actually calling Dolan a hero for speaking up. When was the last time anyone called James Dolan a hero? Exactly. That's how serious this is. These NBA owners are tired of waiting. They've been patient for almost 3 decades, writing checks to cover the WNBA's losses, hoping that eventually things would turn around. But now, their patience is wearing dangerously thin. And honestly, can you blame them? Imagine pouring millions into a business year after year, only to see it lose more money each time. It's like watching your investment burn in real time. At this point, some of them are reportedly considering the idea of shutting the league down altogether. And as crazy as that sounds, they have a point. I mean, what other business operates at a loss for 27 years and still gets to stick around? But it's not just about the money anymore. The WNBA represents something bigger than just sports. It's a symbol of progress in women's athletics. Shutting it down would be a massive PR nightmare for the NBA. And while some owners may be ready to pull the plug, others still believe the WNBA can be turned around, especially with the right moves. Here's where things get really interesting. Starting in 2026, the WNBA is set to get a major lifeline, a new media rights deal worth up to $2.2 billion over 11 years. That's more than 36 times their current deal. We're talking about a massive financial boost that could finally pull the league out of the red.
She's the first rookie to win WNBA Player of the Month since the award's inception in 2010, and last night it was no exception. They were sky high for Caitlin Clark and the Fever, but to start the season, they had a little bit of a rough go of it. They lost their first 5 games. They ended up 1-8 through their first 9 games, and during that first month, the playoffs, they didn't feel realistic at all. Indy entered the Olympic break 11-15 on the year, and then they really turned it around. They've won 7 of their 8 since. They clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2016, which, by the way, was the last year of Hall of Famer and franchise icon Tamika Catchings.
To put it into perspective, the WNBA currently makes around $60 million a year from its national media contracts. With this new deal, they could see at least a $100 million increase in revenue annually. So you might be thinking, great, problem solved, right? Well, not so fast. There's a catch, a big one. The networks aren't just handing out this deal out of goodwill. They're banking on one player to make it all worthwhile. Caitlin Clark. Yup, she's that important. Networks have seen the spike in ratings when she plays, and they're ready to bet big on her star power. But what happens if she gets injured or worse, decides to leave the league? And to make things even more complicated, the WNBA's current collective bargaining agreement, CBA, could throw a wrench into everything. The players have until November 1st to decide whether they want to opt out of the current CBA, and if they do, you can bet they're going to push for higher salaries. While that's great for the players, it could also turn this $40 million loss into an even bigger financial nightmare. The league is set to make more money with this media deal, but if player salaries skyrocket, they could end up right back where they started, or worse.
200,000 more people came to watch the Indiana Fever than any other team in the league. The second best was 400,000. The Fever attendance is 200,000 more people this season than any other organization. The Liberty is next at 400,000. These are numbers when people talked about at the beginning of the season, the high tide lifts all boats or whatever, basically. Like, if you buy into this, everybody is going to eat.
As if that wasn't enough, there's even more drama brewing within the league. You would think with all the attention Caitlin Clark has